the cooperation of devotees, that's where the purification happens, yes. So it's important to understand. Okay, so since we didn't give any time for questions on Friday, do we have some questions from Friday? What, you're only switching it on now? Huh? Oh, it was, yeah, so you have to be awake there, At least something that keeps you awake, hopefully. If it's not me, then maybe the phone there. All right. Are there any questions which we didn't tend to on Friday? You can also have a look on the online. How many people are online there now? 28, 27. Oh, well, okay. Not so bad. So also online audience can also ask some questions related to the session on Friday. If you did not join the session on Friday, then no need to ask anything now, because otherwise we don't get to the today's topic. So are there any further points of discussion, or shall we just move on? Nothing? Huh? Move on. One question. Well, false ego is required in the very beginning stage of devotional life, where we have not yet cultivated this motivating force of wanting to serve Krishna and the devotees, So as we described, it's a whole gradual transformation of the motivating force. So in the beginning, all we know is false ego motivating force. But all right, let it be there. But we should hear about it, that we have to transform it. We don't want to forever stay on that level of just being motivated by false ego, So we have to transform, So and that's, for example, why we have this term in ISKCON of servant leader. Right? Because when we lead, very easily the false ego also wants to be a part of it all, So that's why we are emphasizing servant leader, And that's a challenge, to lead purely with a desire of wanting to serve. That is not easy, Because, as soon as we take charge and head up something, the false ego wants to get in there, So it's not that we do need it. Prabhupada, he was free from false ego motivation. So it's not that one needs it. No. Depending on how purified we are, depending on how much we have transformed our motivating force, then best is to be simply motivated by all I want to do is serve and nothing else. But while that is not yet really cultivated, we are still running on the false ego motivation, Yes. I mean, see, even like Prabhupada, he wanted competition in regards to book distribution, just to get people going, But like in Europe and Germany, there were so many big book distribution heroes. But where are they all now? And some of them have shared with me that, this was a whole false ego thing of wanting to be the number one, and then almost getting all inimical towards each other if somebody else does better. And then there was these stories where people in the middle of the night, they went out just to distribute 2 more books just to be the number one. And oh my God, you know. So, all right, you know, for some time you can run on this motivating force, but sooner or later, mode of passion ends in distress. You will not be able to maintain it. And hardly any of these big book distribution heroes there from Germany, that they're not around anymore, you know? Yes. So we have to transform, you know? Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's, one question. Okay. Okay. One question for the online audience.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So the question was, so we say service is meant for purification, we get purified, we should not get disconnected because purification, we miss out on purification. But while the purification is happening, the damage is already done. You know, by the time we realize.
Why is the purification happening? When?
No, so while the purification is happening, and we come to a stage that we're getting purified, but there is some damage that is already done.
Damage that's already done?
While the purification is getting done.
No. You know, again, if we have a counselor, no damage. You know? So the counselor will point out if there's some, you know, tension, some storming there. So then the counselor will explain, you know, yes. Damage is only done if we don't recognize that the false ego is blocking us. And then we get into an offensive mentality. But this can all be avoided if we have a counselor. That's why this topic of counselor, mentorship, is so crucial, because we have lost so many devotees over the last 50 years, because this is what was happening. So often that some tension is there, often it's with the management, and then people get offended, and then they fade away, never to be seen again, you know? So this can all be avoided if people cultivate sheltering relationships. Yes, yes. Then no damage, no damage. All right, the false ego, well, maybe rebelling, but it's only the false ego. So if somebody helps us to recognize that and helps us to deal with that, then there's no damage. See, it's like, let's say you have to undergo a surgery. All right, the surgeon has to get the knife out. You may say, oh, it's all damage, you know. But no, if you have the good care and the nurses, you know, then it's not damage. It's a step to healing, you know. So same thing there also in our lives, you know, we may feel a little uncomfortable there. Yeah, when we take medicines, it doesn't taste always so sweet. You know, there's some bitterness there or something. So that's just a part of the healing process, you know. Yes. Yeah, but surgeon has to be qualified, you know. Otherwise, he can make some damage. Patient dies. Yeah. All right. So let us move on to today's topic. I mean, if we, you know, it depends how long we want to go, but if we want to finish around 9, we have to start now with the next topic, you know? Okay. Okay. Or one more time, there is a book about this topic. So in the book you will find all the answers which you don't get now, you know. And yeah, tomorrow is my last day here, so you better let me know if you want some books, you know. Don't send me an email after I leave, because then I finalize the order, the boxes are on the way, too late, you know. Yeah. All right, so topic for today. Because the false ego is so near and dear to us, we become very expert in protecting and defending it. Yeah. So as we know, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, they're the 4 animal propensities. So we talk a lot about minimizing eating, sleeping, and mating, but we don't hear so much about defending, right? Nobody talks about it, but it's a really important one, you know? It's also one of the animal propensities to defend. And here now, in connection with the false ego, we are talking about verbal defense, right? Yeah. So there is a rule of Vaishnava etiquette that a devotee should never defend himself or herself. We should not defend ourselves, but if we see somebody badly treated, then we should step in and defend that person, but not ourselves. Because who or what do we defend? If we defend ourselves, of course, we defend the false ego, nothing else, right? Of course, we can still defend others also with false ego, you know? But at least we can say, I mean, as soon as we defend ourselves, it's always about false ego. Always, actually. You know? So yeah, that's the rule. But what do we usually do? We do exactly the opposite. We are very expert in defending ourselves almost every day, and we don't even realize. But when we see somebody else badly treated, we look away. We don't want to get involved. Oh, it may damage my relationships if I say something. None of my business. So we actually do exactly the opposite of what we should be doing. And if everybody would follow the Vaishnava etiquette of defending others when they're badly treated, then there is actually no need for us to defend ourselves, right? Because surely somebody will stand up and say, put in a word for us. But usually nobody does, because nobody wants to damage their relationships and you know, yes. Yeah, so this defending propensity is just so strong. So strong. You know, the false ego pushes the tongue. But, oh, it wasn't me. Oh, it actually was like this. And. You know, sometimes we can't even control ourselves. It all blurts out, you know. Yes. So there, there's different mechanisms how we defend. Very common one is to blame others. It's the classic defense mechanism for the false ego, you know, to blame others. Oh, it's his fault, it's her fault, or the circumstances, you know. In other words, we say, oh, it's not me, I'm all right, everything is perfect with me. It's everybody else's fault. Such a common thing, you know, especially in married life. I mean, see, this is why married life is so purifying, because unless we are willing to accept guidance from a counselor and work on ourselves, we will always blame the spouse. And that's usually what happens. You know, he blames her. Oh, it's my wife. She is not doing this and this and that. And she blames him. Oh, it's my husband. He's not doing this and this and this. You know, so if everybody would just look at themselves, how can I become a better husband? How can I become a better wife? You know, then we get the purification. But just by blaming each other, well, that's why people get divorced more and more commonly, because they're simply not ready to do this internal work, you know? And it's always easier just to run off and leave the whole thing. That's the easy way out. But to actually work through the difficulty, ashram, not just mundane family life. That's the difference, you know, and we've got a book on that topic also there. What it means to make our family life into an ashram. Yes, yes, so purifying. All these family relationships, so much defending, blaming, this, that is going on, you know, because we don't follow the etiquettes, you know. Yes. Yes, also making excuses, you know, finding all kinds of ridiculous excuses for things, you know. Sometimes people even fabricate some reasons there why they didn't do it or something, you know. My God, you know. Yeah, so these are all mechanisms to defend and protect our false ego, right? Yes, and interesting to understand. The false ego contaminates the intelligence to such extent that the contaminated intelligence sometimes distorts things, you know, just to give the false ego the gratification of, I am right, everything is fine with me. You know, you may have come across this. Let's say there is some disagreement, some argument, and you're serving as the mediator, the third person, hearing both sides. Sometimes you get such different description of the scenario that you wonder, are they talking about the same incident? You know, you ever experience this? Yeah. And maybe you think, well, somebody is lying here or something. No, they're not lying. But let's understand, there is no objective experience. There's even no objective hearing. Every person here sitting hears something differently, you know? Yes. So we hear, we experience through these filters of material attachments, material desires. False ego is a big one. Sometimes even some traumatic experiences, you know, we hear through them, and then maybe one word is really triggering us, you know. But other people who didn't have that traumatic experience, they don't react like that. It's a very common thing when we say a woman should be submissive to the husband. So a woman who has experienced some domestic violence or some abuse, when she hears that, she gets triggered completely, you know? But then other people who have not had that experience, for them it's completely normal. Yeah, of course we should be submissive, and he wants, by nature, he wants to be the number one. You know, so these are just examples to show that there is no objective hearing and experiencing. So, and this is what's happening in a conflict situation very easily, that, you know, the contaminated intelligence twists things around just to satisfy our false ego that, yeah, this is how it was, and I am okay, and it's all the other person, you know. Yeah, so it's good to understand these things, especially when we serve as a counselor, you know, that we take that into consideration. Yes, it's the false ego blocking the person, distorting everything. Memory even changes completely. People just forget what they want to forget, you know, and what they remember, it gets another twist there. and then something completely else comes out, you know? Yes. Yeah, so in any case, very important, you know, to understand this defense propensity has to be given up. We have to learn to follow the etiquette, you know, especially towards a superior person. It's so inappropriate to defend ourselves. Yes, so inappropriate. But even towards equals or juniors, we should not defend, you know. Let's say there's a situation that a junior person acts very inappropriately to us. It depends, you know, but often it is better if we rather tell somebody else and then that person instructs, you know, rather than us saying it, because yeah, some tinge of defense may still be in there, you know. So better if we go to somebody else and say, oh, you know, this person was behaving a little inappropriately. Could you maybe tell them, you know? Or if that person has a counselor or something, then better the correction comes from somebody else rather than from ourselves, you know? Yes. Yes. So, but let us imagine our Guru Maharaj chastises us for something which we didn't even do. Completely, you know, unfairly chastises us for something which we did not do. Wow, that would be a challenge to the false ego, right? Well, what's the proper thing to, how should we react? What do you think? How to react? Huh? Yes, we should accept it. We should not defend. We should not say, oh, bad Guru Maharaj, actually it wasn't me and actually the other person did it. Boo. No, we should not defend. Yeah, that's the proper way of acting. And that's a challenge, you know, especially towards Guru. We may think, oh, what is he thinking now of me? You know, as soon as we think, what is the person thinking of me? False ego. Yes, when we are so concerned what other people think of me, you know. So we should simply accept it as an opportunity to let go of our false ego. Yeah, that's the right way of acting. Saying to ourselves, well, so many times I've done so many bad things and I didn't get any chastisement. So now let me accept the chastisement, even if it is for something which I didn't even do. And again, if everybody follows the proper etiquette, then surely somebody should step in and say, oh, by the way, Maharaj, it actually was a little different and actually this person didn't do it and so on. You know? Yes. Or if we are drowning in pain and, you know, then again, we go to our counselor, you know, we go to our counselor and say, oh, you know, what am I going to do? I got chastised for this. And what's my Guru Maharaj thinking now? And then let the counselor deal with it, you know. So maybe the counselor can go up to the spiritual master and inform him or something. Or if it's some insignificant little stupid thing, then the counselor may just say, anyway, just let it go. Let it go. It's all right. Nobody worries much about it tomorrow, and nobody even remembers it, and you know. So yeah, like that, you know. Actually, I'm sure you all know, at least know of Hari Sori Prabhu, right? Maybe you've met him in Mayapur or something. So I know him well for many years, you know, for 40 years. So whenever I publish my books and I want to include some Prabhupada story, I usually verify it with him. So, and when I wrote the False Ego book, I wrote to him, "Oh, Prabhu, do you have a story where you defended towards Prabhupada?" Because he was traveling with him as a servant for quite some time. So, and he sent me this amazing story, which I included in the book. So the story goes that Prabhupada, one day he said to Harisuri Prabhu, "Give me the red folder from the Almirah. Give me the red folder." And Harisuri Prabhu goes to the cupboard. "Well, Prabhupada, there is no red folder." And then Prabhupada repeats, "Give me the red folder." Again, Harisuri Prabhu, I can't see a red folder here." And Prabhupada repeats. Well, I have to read the story again. I can't even remember the exact details. I think Harisuri Prabhu said, "Prabhupada, there's only a pink one," right? He read the story recently. So Harisuri says, "There's only a pink one." And Prabhupada says nothing. So then Harisuri Prabhu takes the folder which he thinks to be pink, and he gives it to Prabhupada and says, "Prabhupada, it's pink." Well, obviously, it's not something you say to your guru, you know. In other words, he's saying, "Prabhupada, you are wrong. It's not red. I am right. It's pink." And Prabhupada so heavily chastised him. He blasted him. "So now you have become very expert in defending yourself towards your spiritual master." And he gave him a whole 10-minute lecture there, you know. And Harisuri Prabhu is describing how actually it felt so good to be humbled again by Prabhupada, because over the previous few weeks he was getting a little too much and a bit too arrogant, and, and so boom, mouse again, you know. So, yes. Yeah, so we should not defend. And I remember once I gave that seminar in Mayapur, the longer version. And we were just elaborating for quite some time on this topic of not defending. And then right after the seminar, I had some conversation with some young bhakta. I can't even remember what the topic was. And he immediately defended, full on. And I said to him, "Prabhu, remember, we just talked about it. Don't defend, don't defend." You know, I gave it in a joking and affectionate way, but he couldn't even hear me. He was just going on, you know. So that's how strong the false ego pushes the tongue, you know, and demands that gratification by defending, you know. So yeah, we have to learn to control that, you know. And I mean, this is also really going on in married life. I mean, here we are in India. I hope nobody in America watches this because in America I cannot say these things. But, well, it's Prabhupada says it, you know. Prabhupada says it all in the Bhagavatam, that a husband by nature wants to be in the superior position, and the wife by nature is in an inferior position. That's just Krishna's system. Sorry, it's not I say it, it's Prabhupada and Krishna are saying it, you know? So, and that means the proper etiquette is that a wife should not answer back to the husband. Yes. Yes, that is, sorry, this is what it is, you know. Yes, yes. Often people in America, I cannot say this, but people will shoot me down, you know. Now, yeah, they will ban me from visiting America, even though even if I just read some quotes from Prabhupada, I will be banned. Yes. I mean, this, for me, this is very alarming if we can't even read Prabhupada's words. What is this? You know, yes. That's, yeah. But yeah, but even here in India, you know, all these Western moods come in, and often, you know, sometimes I'm surprised how women deal with their husbands, and in front of me, correcting him, instructing him, and getting on his case and all this. My God, what the hell is that? You know? Yes, that we have to follow the Vaishnava etiquette. You know, and well, too bad. Husband wants to be superior, and that's the etiquette. We are not meant to answer back and correct him and instruct him and all this, you know. Yes. But just to balance it, you know, also a husband should not misuse his superior position, you know, by torturing her and abusing her or beating her and all these kind of things. So that also should not go on. And in India, these things are also going on maybe more than in the Western world, you know. So both sides have to follow properly the etiquettes, and they fulfill their duties and all this, you know. Yeah. And by the way, same thing is there, of course, towards the parents, you know, even if they are not devotees, they're still our superiors, and we are not meant to answer back and correct them and have the last word and all this. We are not meant to do these things. That's really unknown in the Western world. My God. And it took me a while to realize, you know, especially as a devotee, as a preacher, you think, yeah, well, I have to tell my mother what's right and what's wrong. But she didn't react very nicely. She hated it, you know. And then finally I realized, well, it's me who is not following the Vaishnava etiquette, you know. So let her be right, even if she's wrong. Doesn't matter. Oh, this who is right, who is wrong business. It's just false ego stuff, you know. Yes. So and similar also between husband and wife. So even if the husband is wrong, sooner or later he will notice. We don't have to tell him, you know. Hopefully he will notice. And yeah, these right, wrong things, often they're such trivial and stupid little things. And we spoil our whole married life just over some silly little ego battles, you know? And then we miss out on the purification. Because, yeah, let me share that. Apart from hearing and chanting and serving and all that, there is, for man and woman, there is a practical other path. Additionally, how to dissolve the false ego. So for us women, the process is to practice, especially on the husband, but on all other men in our dealings. We practice on the men how to let go of the false ego. Yeah. If we women want to have harmonious relationships with men in our life, we have to learn that. Yeah. Yeah. No matter in what position we are in. Even me as a preacher, you know, if I want to have harmonious relationship with men, well, I have to also let them be right. And sometimes as a mother, I can maybe tell them or something. But yeah, I have to be careful. Otherwise, it will backfire, you know? Yeah. So, and now the question for the men. What's the purifying path for the man to dissolve the false ego? Oh yeah, I didn't mention one thing that makes it more difficult for you to understand. Well, let me mention that. Krishna has given the man, the male body, a stronger false ego. Did I mention this? No. Just so he plays the role of taking charge. Because at least according to Krishna's system, the men are meant to protect, provide, and take charge. Right? So he wants to play that role. That's why Krishna builds in a stronger false ego. Because if he didn't have that false ego, he probably wouldn't want to play the role. But somebody has to play it, right? So we women have the emotional nature. So we want to be mothers and caregivers, right? And for us, the most important thing is the relationships, because we are meant to be the balancing and harmonizing force there with the relationships. But the men are meant to, achieve things and move things forward and take charge. So, and the false ego motivates them to play that role, right? So now, what is the practical path for purification for the men? The women are also responsible. No. Huh? More concrete. Where is the purification? The women take the humble position towards the men. So, what's the path for the man? Well, Guru is far away, How often do we see him? He may have thousands of disciples. Yes, service, but more concrete. Prabhu, you read the book. You should know. Wasn't it you who said you read the whole book already? So you can't remember? You only read it 2 days ago. Don't look in it. No, it's cheating. Yeah, no, I will help a little bit. So just imagine the men have a built-in stronger false ego. So if you have a whole bunch of men there, what's going to happen? Some clashes, right? So for the men cooperating with other men, yeah, especially amongst those of similar influence, yes. And we see that's a challenge. And I mean, I've got no clue what's going on here. But yeah, in most communities, there is some power battles, false ego battles amongst the men going on, some little rubbing there and, Yeah, so that's where the purification lies for the men, And I dare say we women have the better deal. Yeah, I think so. Because for us women, well, because we need that protection and care, and especially if we have children and all this, So, and we are more in the mood of serving and following. So for us, I dare say it's easier, although now in Kali Yuga, with this whole equality, it's also becoming tougher for the women to take the humble position to the men. But for the man, because that false ego is so strong, and we want to lead. And as soon as we lead and take charge, the false ego wants to be in there. So to actually lead and take charge without false ego motivation and without this, wanting to be somebody and all this, very difficult, Yes. And I mean, also, there's, of course, a few things we didn't manage to address, but maybe we'll leave them for tomorrow. But let me just quickly conclude that very clearly, material life and its culture is all about feeding and boosting the false ego. That's the path of success in material life. Showing off. The more you can show off, the more successful you will be. And. And spiritual life and its culture is all designed to subdue and dissolve the false ego, you know, becoming more humble than a blade of grass. And you know, yeah, so these two cultures are very opposite, you know, like day and night, as Krishna says in 269 in Bhagavad Gita, you know, what is day to the common person is night to the introspective sage. So these cultures are like day and night. So different, you know. So, and that's why we also experience a bit of a clash in ISKCON on this topic of culture. You know, it's inevitable because what is right in one place may be considered wrong in the other place, depending on how far or close we are to Krishna's system, you know? So growing up in the Western world, not having spent much time in this part of the world, then of course that conditioning is so strong, you know? Yes, that materialistic view on things, you know? As I shared on Friday, I think that I also came from that conditioning, you know? Yes, the whole equality thing and pushing yourself to the front and all that, that's the mood in the West, you know? Yes, yes. So yeah, it's, yeah, in Bangladesh, I mean, I've experienced situations there even that what is right in Bangladesh is anywhere else outside of Bangladesh wrong, even in India. Because in Bangladesh, still the culture is so much more present than here in India, even, you know. Yes. So that's why we can't approach this topic of culture with this approach, what's right and what's wrong. It's not black and white. What's right for one is wrong for the other, you know. So it's a matter of transforming, you know. So that's why my approach to this whole topic is always that I try to give insights into Krishna's culture, Krishna's system. So, and then let everybody decide how far or close they want to be, you know? Yeah. But we can't say this is right, this is wrong. No, for you it may be right because you want to be closer to Krishna's system, but for somebody who doesn't really feel comfortable there, you know, then something else is right. And we have to learn to respect where we all are, you know? Yes. So, you know, we have the liberal mood, the traditional conservative mood. I mean, on my travels, believe it or not, in some places I am too liberal. And in other places I'm too traditional. It's really like that. Yes. So yeah. So the liberal people have to respect the traditional ones. The traditional people have to respect the liberal ones. You know, that's how we get unity and diversity. But if we just attack each other, you know, and trying to establish what's right and what's wrong, this doesn't work, you know. And this transformation we should all actually do. This has to be done voluntarily. We can't impose it on people, you know. Yes, it can only be inspired, you know. Yeah, big topic. And it's probably the most controversial topic in ISKCON, this whole culture topic, you know. Yes. All right, well, it's 9 o'clock. So let me see if we have any questions. Okay. Was that the one from before or a new one?
I think it's for everyone. So the question is, there is a doubt of how to differentiate between ego and self-esteem.
Okay. Yeah, there is two kinds of self-esteem. One is based on false ego, and one is based on taking shelter of Krishna. You know, even enthusiasm, confidence, self-esteem. You know, all these things. You have two kinds: the material version, the spiritual version. So material always means disconnected from Krishna, false ego, motivation, and these things, you know. I can do it, I'm confident, oh, self-esteem, I'm great, and, you know. So that's the false ego side. But then a spiritual self-esteem and confidence is based on the understanding I am completely tiny and insignificant. And I'm just like the drop of water on the lotus petal. Anytime, whoop, I can fall. So let me take shelter of Krishna. And because I'm taking shelter of Krishna, I have that confidence that yes, Krishna protects me, you know. And Prabhupada gives this example of a small child crossing a big, busy road. So if the child says, oh, I can do it, running across most likely will be run over. But if he puts his hand into the father's hand and says, because I'm taking shelter of my dad, that's why I can cross this road, you know? So that's the what we do when we take shelter of Krishna, you know. And then even things, if we fail and things don't go their ways as we were hoping, well, we don't lose all our confidence. We just say, okay, Krishna wanted it like this. You know, maybe he wanted to teach me something or whatever, you know. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So generally, when we do not defend ourselves, maybe once, twice, but we repeatedly do this day after day, the tendency may be, we may go into depression, or maybe, we may develop inferiority complex. So how do we, be blissful and forget about it, while at the same time trying to, defend, not defend ourselves? Just like you gave the example of Harishauri Prabhu. He was blissful when he was being chastised by Srila Prabhupada. But there we can understand that Srila Prabhupada is in a very superior position, and it is very easy to accept it. But when it comes to peers, or somebody even who is a beginner, it is very depressing, or it is very hurting to not defend ourselves.
Well, as we said, the etiquette is that somebody else should defend us, you know? Then there's no need to defend. If we need to be defended. But most of the times we defend even though we are in the wrong, you know, and we still defend.
But if we have the same attitude in the outside world, we may not be able to work or earn money also.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to leave this for tomorrow, because what I actually also wanted to include, this whole discussion leads to the importance of tolerance, right? And we had a ladies program on Saturday morning where we were more in depth talking about this topic. And I was planning to touch upon it, but because we spent quite some time in the beginning with the questions, I didn't get a chance, you know. So maybe we leave this for tomorrow morning, you know, this topic of tolerance. And then, yeah, how much can we tolerate? And outside world, should we also tolerate there? And I mean, I am giving 5 steps, which are very powerful in any kind of transformational internal work where we want to transform some unwanted patterns of behaviors. Again, they are in the books. Yeah, I mean, if we want to finish now, then we can't really talk about these things unless you say, no, let's have another 10 minutes or something. So then at least I can give you the 5 steps. I don't know. What do you want to do? If you have to rush off to work or something or services, then we should finish or Those who want to leave can leave. Well, but also I do want to one more time give opportunity to get some books, just in case somebody still has not gotten the books they want to get, you know? So I wouldn't want every half the people leaving now and only a bunch of people staying back, you know? Maybe we'll just finish here. And I give another chance for people to get some books, if there is somebody who didn't get any. I mean, so many people got books yesterday. But I always have some people, they leave it to the last minute. You know, sometimes even when I walk out the gate with my luggage and leave, then, oh, I want to have the full Zigo book.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
But I will leave on Wednesday at 5 a.m. So I don't think anybody will be up that early to get a book. Yes, so today and tomorrow are your last days, you know. Also, if you want to get a set for the Brahmachari ashram or something, so don't leave it to the last minute because I have to finalize everything.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes.
Dandavat
Okay,
pranam.
thank you so much. So tomorrow morning, I will not spend so much time in repeating, you know, and we will immediately continue with the whole topic of tolerance. And then I will hopefully also have some little bit of time to touch upon another topic, which I also want to present. What? You missed what? I can't hear you. So let it be afterwards. Let us finish now. And you can come up to me and ask me what you wanted to ask. Huh? Okay? Thank you so much, Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveda Bhaktavinda ki, Gaura Premanandi, Hare Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavat pranam.